Hey everybody, I'm Sam Partee, CTO of Arcade.dev, and today I'm going to talk about Arcade.dev and why it's the platform that you should use when you're building an agent. And it's specifically if you're a tool developer and you're looking at MCP servers or you're looking to integrate MCP into your platform, this will be educational as well as just a quick overview of the platform and why I think you should look into it if you're building an agent. What's the problem right now? The problem is that a lot of these blockers to putting their agents into production, we're getting a lot closer in terms of, and I say we're as in agent developers and agent builders in general, or people who want to use agents because of the advent of things like ChatGPT, other agents being used by people who are less technical. And so this is opening up new doors, new avenues for agents all over the place to be extremely productive and change the way that we do things. But there's some blockers that the tool developers and the agent developers, sometimes those are the same thing, that they both have getting to production and actually having that agent used by those individuals. And the first one that my co-founder, Alex Alzar, and I sought out, essentially, largely because of his background in Auth, was this authentication authorization problem, where a lot of people were giving their agent a bot or something like a Slack bot, and it had a fixed set of permissions of what it could do. And it was either the bot was getting too many permissions and not allowed to go to prod by enterprises, or too few permissions to do anything useful. And then the middle ground was copying your token to a static environment variable and risking massive security vulnerabilities. And that's still the way most MCP servers ask you to do it. And so there wasn't an ability for tools to say, I need this specific set of scopes, permissions, claims, what have you, when an agent is going to run it. And the agent developer had to do all of this thinking about how they were going to manage all of these different resources and all of these different services that they just wanted their agent to go interact with. It shouldn't have been that hard. And so it was really hard to develop these tools that were going to use APIs, but really it was more than just an API. It was more than just like your typical iPaaS where you just get a token and use an API or something like that. It might be one user using an agent that calls many APIs. And how were those platforms going to account for that? How was I supposed to, as an agent developer, how was I supposed to evaluate that? And my agent using those OAuth tokens or those permissions or those secrets even. And there was no visibility while I was developing those agents. These numbers are largely kind of anecdotal here, but they're pretty much true. Without proper tooling, you could see 70% failure rates and people being like, well, it's pretty good. No, it's not. And that shouldn't have been acceptable. We need to push back as a group towards the 5.9 SLAs. And I know some people laugh when I say that, but that should be the goal. And this largely, I think, comes from the execution complexity of tool calling. Note that tool calling doesn't call the tool. It's a bit of a bad name because it's left up as an exercise for the developer. Once you get the prediction or selection or prediction from that large language model, you, the agent developer, have to decide how the tool is going to run. This for a long time was stuck inside LLM orchestration frameworks. And the one that most people know is that MCP came about and it took away the execution runtime from that agent itself. It separated the execution of the tool from the agent, and that allowed different types of integrations. However, this didn't solve the other two problems. In fact, it made it harder. You see these MCP servers with thousands of lines with no evals and static environment variables stuck into the environment and no way to manage multiple MCP servers and no way to manage multiple users using that MCP server unless they're all in one environment. And so how was this MCP server only dedicated to Google supposed to go hit Slack and Jira and all of these other ones without me copying in every single static token into my environment? Even if I am a platform and I go out there and make a really nice menu and click UI, do my users really want to click through all of those integrations? No, they just want the agent to be able to use their stuff. They want their agent to be able to use their data when they want, how they want, safely, securely, performantly, and not fail. That's what we try to do. We try to solve those blockers. Arcade is a system by which you are provided ways to build tools, pre-built tools, ways to authorize tools for your agents, a kit that makes it so that you it is very hard to build tools incorrectly or in a inconsistent way. You are able to eval all of those tools right when you build them, just like you would testing PyTest a function. And you're able to, from one pane of glass, from one dashboard, which I'm going to show you right now, manage all of your tools in one place. So your agent developer and your tool developer can now work in tandem. You can be developing tools, deploying them, A/B testing them in a secure and safe way across your entire team, across your entire organization, and have the agent developers consuming this catalog. So you can have workers. These are essentially MCP servers, secrets at multiple levels for all of your organization, having lists of different tools for different auth providers, using all of the services that you want your agent to be able to use. You get lists of them. You can see what you're missing in terms of the requirements as the tool developer. You can look and see about the MCP servers that you're hosting or the Arcade workers that you're using with your custom toolkits. You can look at the logs of those individual actors. Right here, I have a linear toolkit running and it's still running. You can see that it's running in our Arcade cloud using Arcade deploy. You can execute in a quick one-turn chat with all of your tools, or just execute them directly right from the UI. And this is a developer product, so we wanted you to be able to look at the users of your agent. All of these are the end users of your agent, what platforms they're using, and what they've allowed the agent to do. This is very important because it's not everything they're allowed to do on the platform. It's only what they've been allowed to do. This is very different from the platform identity, where in the previous generation, they are going to say, I'm going to give you the user token. No, the delegate agent, not a new identity, is going to be just a delegate of the existing identity, which is just the human user of your agent. No one wants to buy a new seat in Workday. Sorry, Workday. But no one wants to manage a new type of identity profile. They just want an agent that works. And this is the easiest, most conducive way to getting that kind of agent to use the services that you want to use. In Arcade, you can hook up just about any provider, either through our pre-built or our generic OAuth providers that you can see supports a wide range of different types of OAuth providers because they're all special snowflakes. And this is just the dashboard. You can test all of your tools in arcade.chat as well, which is a multi-turn agent, which as soon as you sync up your tools, you'll see my toolkits listed here. And all of that is available for your entire team, your agent developers and your tool developers, creating a system by which you can safely take something to prod. And that is what Arcade does. So going back to the presentation, as you can see, we got a lot of toolkits, and the ones we host, we back by an SLA. And you can see that we have a ton of different community available tools, as well as the ones that we've built and we maintain to make sure that they work. We also provide, and this is a very important part of Arcade, a way in which you can benefit from everything that we do to make sure that those tools that we build work. So you can build tools that you need with our auth system, with our secrets handling, with our deployment methodology, with our eval system, with our schema generation, so that you don't have to manage a separate set of schemas. And this is not all, but it is all that we use to make sure that our tools, when in prod, will work, and they work for agents in a way that a developer wants them to. I'll show you a quick example. On here on the right, I just wrote this search engine toolkit, right? Not super complicated, but this is all I have to write is functions. And you'll notice things like enums being used. That's because enums, every single one of them goes to the large language model. What you see happen here is this tool decorator. When you say arcade new, let's call it sample toolkit, you'll say, it will sample arcade, Partee, sample arcade.dev. Yes, I would like an evals directory. And then you can hop in this sample directory and you will get a toolkit ready to go. And this toolkit can immediately be deployed to PyPy or installed. And when you do that, you will be able to see immediately all of your tools locally. So just like this Google search tool I have right here, or let's say archive, and I can see all of those right here when I say Arcade, show me the local tools I have installed. And you'll see all of those individual tools, their descriptions and what have you. You can say, I want to check out a specific tool. Let's check out Pirate Bay, back in the day reference. And you'll see the description for the tool, the parameters that will go to the large language model, including non-inferable parameters, and the descriptions, value modes, and outputs. And so this allows you as the developer to quickly install all types of toolkits, and then test them very quickly. Because you can say things like arcade serve, and I have this little port tunnel running. Yeah, there we go. So I have one running right here. I'll shut that down for you just so you can see it. Arcade serve, port 804, and that is a ready to go server. No more writing server code, just functions. With this, I can immediately either use Arcade deploy, or I can just go right to the dashboard and I can say, I want a new worker, add a worker. Let's call them sample worker like we did before. And you note that you can also add MCP servers here, HTTPS streamable only because SSE is deprecated. And I have this little tunnel I have over here set up, and you'll notice it'll check it to make sure that it's going to work for you. Give it a timeout and number of retries just in case you have some network errors. Create that worker, and then all of a sudden your custom tools loaded up into the web, served on your local, bound to a tenant, and you can immediately see all of your tools displayed inside of the UI that are immediately now usable. Now you'll see all of those tools are now usable that you wrote that are not pre-built tools in Arcade. You can do what have you. These are all versioned. They have fully qualified IDs. They can be rolled out. They can be deployed separately. They can each have requirements, which I'll talk about in a little bit, viewed and executed directly on the chat or the execution pane, or you can load them up right here like this. And so let's go to search engine and let's say something like, find me papers on archive about smarts. I wonder who wrote that paper. Let's find out. And it's going to connect to your tool running right here. And you'll see all of that running, the tool outputs, anything that you log, the requests that it makes. And there's a paper. So what this shows you is that you can now a tool in lightning speed, get it running, test it, use it in the chat, use it in a multi-turn agent, execute it. And now I'll show you as well, you can evaluate it. So that's next. There's also this evals directory right here. And this is just a simple sample eval, but I'm going to show, because I've said Arcade new, this evaluation suite can be used directly to search or to evaluate any of the individual tool calls. This is how you can be certain that your tools do what you want them to do. This entire SDK is built around making sure that when you go to prod, it does what you want and what you expect. Lastly, I'm just going to quickly show you, because I'm already running up on my time, I'm going to show you an example of how you do this with Auth. So let's say I wanted one of these tools like Archive Search. Okay, let's say I want Archive Search to install a Google Doc. So I will go over here, stop my server, pip install uv pip install Arcade Google. There we go. I'll do arcade show dash local, and I'll drag this out again for you. And you'll see now all of the Google tools are now installed in your local environment and usable by your worker. So if I say again, arcade serve, running on that same port, worker still set up, it's now serving all 37 production ready Google tools from Arcade in your environment. And you can change all of these. You can even take your tools and say, oh, this tool actually now requires Google. So let's say from Arcade TDK off port Google. There we go. Oh my God, I need to turn that thing off. And now let's just copy this. And let's say I want to archive search and save to Google Drive. Sure. And here, all I say is Google, and I go and get the scopes that it requires. I don't think that's right, but that looks pretty close. I think it's actually less than that. Data, what we can do is check. Oop. It is requires Auth. And that right there is all you have to do, almost all you have to do. If you format it correctly, Sam, that is almost all you have to do. And now you, in this tool context object at runtime, you as the tool developer can just expect that you get the right token every single time. So since this description is meant to go and tell the large language model what we're going to do, I'll add a and save the results to Google Drive. So let's say results equals that, and then let's actually, we'll need to import. Let's go to the Google one that we have, shall we? Google Drive. Let's say, oh, you know what? Let's just use a Google Drive tool. Duh, Sam. Let's do import Arcade Google, from Arcade Google, import Google Drive from Arcade Google.tools, import drive, import create file from JSON, create file from text. Let's see if that's right. Negatory. Let's see. Get file tree structure. Wow, we have a lot of new tools in here. Search documents, search and retrieve documents. Here's our one for making them. Oh, it's in docs. I will cut this out. So here we can see insert text at end of document, and we have create blank document. And so let's do, create document from text. That's a good one. What does that require? Drive file. Cool. So we were pretty close. And it's docs, create document from text. Probably shouldn't import in the middle of the file, but this is the example. And we just need drive.file. And so in this case, you'll be using the exact same scope already approved by the cloud-hosted Arcade scope, but you should go and get your own OAuth app and put it into Arcade, as I showed you earlier, with the Auth providers. And then you now can use this function that requires you have a tool context. And that tool context will be for your user. And so you can say return document, or let's rather say text content. Let's say div document created, because we want to return a string for our large language model, and it should be JSON. No, it should be a document URL. Let's say, there we go. That should be roughly right. Created this document. There we go. And that is what this returns, correct? There you go. And now we have our our archive search and save to Google Drive. I can just say right here, back in the terminal where I was serving it, which is here. So now all I do is I reinstall, and boom shakalaka, we will have our new tool ready to go. Search engine. Actually, let's just do it here. UV pip install search engine, and it audited that one package. We'll now say arcade show local, and we will then have our new archive tool, archive, search, save to Google Drive, search for scientific papers and save them to Google Drive. And so this shows you the complexity that you can put into a tool using existing tools. This is not an API. LLMs do not speak APIs. If you listen to this at any point, know that the point of tools is that it is an abstraction that you, the tool developer, combined with the agent persona and the agent developer, control to get the best out of your agent. And so we'll now say arcade serve, and that again is running on our little port runner. Boom, there. Make sure it's in our dashboard. You see tools. Let's do our toolkits. Go to our search engine toolkit, and there's our tool. And you can see now that it requires Arcade Google. And so if I, like the user, or the user is logging into the platform, when you, the agent developer, send a user ID to Arcade to execute a tool or to list tools or what have you, you can see if that user has in fact authorized before. So you can see if I send test 33444 to Arcade, that I will then have the read-only scopes and a bunch of other ones. Because you, the agent developer, are responsible for sending that unique ID and making sure that that is your user. If you have any problems, you can just revoke them. And so what I'll do is I can search for Sam at Arcade.dev right here. Obviously, I use this all the time, so I am authorized. I'm going to revoke it. Revoke. What does that do? That takes my token out of Arcade, so that when I say to do this again in a new chat, and I say select, we don't need linear, don't need Reddit, search engine. And now I say, with these 30 tools to select from, search archive, and tell me about papers on SmartSim, save them to my Google Drive. And now this authorization is one of the pinnacle points of Arcade. You, the tool developer, can specify that your tool needs this, and the agent developer can just use it and have it work. So now I can say, yes, I'm Sam Partee. Yes, I'm signing back into Arcade. Yes, the Google tool can still do all these things on my behalf. Allow, and I have to specifically allow the agent to do that for me. It is a delegate of me. It is working for me. It is working as me. I don't have to manage it. It's not something that I have to worry about as the agent developer. And as the tool developer, I just have to decorate a function. Boom, shakalaka. Look at that. Terribly formatted, but we wrote it in 2 minutes. So hopefully that goes to show awesome it is for agent developers and tool developers to be able to use Arcade for their agents. What does this actually do? You get to production faster. You start making money on your agents. You start doing something for your customers with your agents. You get better performance. and you actually can sell to an enterprise. And we know because we're doing. Check out the docs, check out Arcade. Thanks for listening.